Provident Healthcare Partners is a healthcare investment bank that is focused on transaction advisory services. We created this podcast for healthcare executives, entrepreneurs, shareholders, and providers who are interested in learning more about the world of healthcare consolidation.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining another episode of Provident Healthcare's Dealcast. This is Tommy Spiegel speaking. I am a vice president at Provident and based in our Boston office. Today, we are going to be talking about technology advancement within the autism services space and its impact on both operations and care delivery. Technology adoption and the value it provides has become increasingly important in this space. Providers continue to make better use of technology to provide services and enhance operations. You need to have a handle on the data that drives your business. And to help expand on that topic, I'm excited to have two very special guests. The first is Erica Kinnebrew, who is a BCBA by trade. Erica has been in this space for 10 plus years and built and exited 3 ABA businesses. Erica now runs a tech platform called ABA Engine. We also have Rick Loewenstein, who is an industry veteran and runs a consulting firm with his wife Dana called TeamGame Advisors. Rick and Dana are two of the more impressive folks in this space and specialize in growth for founder-owned businesses. I will pass it off to Erica and Rick to further introduce themselves. Erica, would you like to start?
Sure. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to have this conversation with both of you. One of the reasons why I jumped headlong from clinical work into business ownership and then into tech, at each of those points along the way, I saw a need and wanted to meet that need. So this by far has been the most difficult company that I've built, but we are doing well, and it's exciting to see the impact that it's having on the field. And I'm excited to talk about the tech that we have, and I'm excited to dig into the conversation, and thanks y'all for having me on.
Thanks, Erica. That was great. Appreciate the introduction. Can you just give a once-over for all the listeners on ABA Engine and the solution it intends to solve?
So currently I'm running ABA Engine. I've been building this tech platform for 2 years. It's been in my mind swirling around for about 3 years, but it's really been the last year and a half, 2 years that we've been running pretty full tilt to building it. Best way to describe it is a CRM that sits prior to a practice management platform. So it's not meant to replace a Central Reach or a Rethink. It's meant to sit before them. It is the management of clients through the intake process, employees through the onboarding process, and scheduling. So everything from first touch for clients and employees all the way through to direct auth received and schedule in place, and then push into the practice management platform. We are a map-based platform and built with very specific designs and workflows in order to allow for better speed to services for families and efficiency for business owners. The platform is intended to save business owners hours and hours of admin work. A lot is automated through emails, through text messaging, through the workflows that are built in. Spent a lot of time on the design, so there's quite a lot of intentionality into the way that we're presenting information and the time that we're presenting that information during the workflow. ABA Engine actually is comprised of 3 platforms. So there's the admin platform that is run by the back office of an ABA company. And then there is a parent portal and an employee portal, and all 3 are connected. There's a seamless Slack-like communication across all 3. We have full form builder within the platform. We have language translation. We're tracking timelines and things like that to understand how long it takes to get families into services and how long it takes to get employees through the onboarding process. So it's a very intentional piece of software that I'm building for ABA companies specifically.
Thanks, Erica. Rick?
Sure. Thanks, Tommy, and great to be with Erica. Thanks again for having me on your show, Tommy. I really do appreciate it. I have been in the disability space now for almost 20 years. Tommy's referring to me as a veteran. That means I'm old, but I have been around and I've seen a lot and have been in the autism space, really focused on autism in the last 12 years or so. TeamGame Advisors works with providers to really strategically and sustainably grow their practices new market entry, building strong payer relationships, negotiating better reimbursement rates, clinical performance management, operational excellence are just a few of the areas that we focus on. We work with clients all across the country and all sizes of organizations. So I'm excited to be here. Technology has changed so much just literally in the past 2 years. It's remarkable. So having Erica here as our subject matter expert is going to be fun.
Great. Thank you for the introductions. I guess let's get right into it. Rick, the first question is for you. Given your experience working with founder-owned businesses, you are exposed to a suite of providers and a large sample set of technology platforms. What can you tell us about the technologies groups are using today? What's working well? And are there any specific technologies your clients have given high praise?
It's really interesting over the course of the past, I'm going to say 5 to 10 years, but that is a really big window. This move, and Erica can comment on this, the move from paper data collection to electronic point of service data platforms, assistive technology for independent skill building, safety like AngelSense or sensory toys, augmented communication devices. It's amazing the advantages that people with autism and their caregivers and clinicians and professionals have at their fingertips today. From a provider perspective, there's just so much more on the market. The typical names that we know of Central Reach or Rethink are being challenged by organizations like Passage Health, different EMR offerings in the marketplace, things for scheduling. It's just really amazing what we've seen come to market just in the last few years. And obviously, ABA Engine. I mean, this is I think maybe a good transition to push over to Erica, but really a lot has changed, and it's changed the way that providers are doing their work.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been incredible having been in the field starting back in 2008 was really my introduction to the field, and then working in the field in 2009. And I remember, this is a funny story, but a clinician with no tech background whatsoever. My husband is in cybersecurity. And I remember telling him, I need a platform, right? I need this software to do data collection. At that point, I didn't even have any idea. This was just from the perspective of a clinician, and it doesn't exist. And so I'm just going to learn how to code and build it. And of course, his reaction was to laugh because he thought I was kidding. I wasn't. But I also had no idea what I was saying, right? Going from a clinician to like, oh, well, I'll just learn to code, right? That's no big deal. And fast forward years later after building several companies and saying, gosh, yes, you mentioned some companies, Motivity and Hierasmus are great data collection platforms that didn't exist a decade ago, at least not to the degree. I know Hierasmus is new. I'm not really sure when Motivity started, but I know they have been through some iterations, and their software now is so much more stable and such an incredible platform versus when they first started building it. But none of that was an option for me when I first entered the space. And then having built companies and realizing, oh gosh, there's so much more that we need. Operations needs to be streamlined better. So that has been really crazy, really wild to see. And you're right. It feels like, honestly, you said 5 to 10, and it really has been. But I would say since COVID, there's been this incredible escalation, it feels like, of new options coming on the market. And I mean, the reality is the need exists, and that's why we're seeing more and more software come into the space.
What's interesting is just also the acceleration of telehealth, the adoption of telehealth, remote learning, remote testing, things that were never thought of really 5 or 10 years ago. We've run into a problem in some states where we're working with the mental health code from the 70s, and there's no mention of cameras in a building. It's just not there. And so it's really amazing to see what's occurred over the last really few years.
Thanks, Erica and Rick. That was great. Technology definitely evolves, and it's been exciting to watch that change. I will just add that from an M&A perspective and what we see with clients we are working with, Technologies can really create efficiencies across the autism services value chain, whether it's intake, onboarding, scheduling like ABA Engine, or even outcomes, data collection, and billing. Technology can help build the foundation so your business can continue to scale and grow into the future. Technology can also be focused on the data collection front, providing detailed insights to the outcomes for kiddos and ultimately enhancing care delivery. While quality should be the primary focus of any ABA business, efficient operations can help you save on overhead, and actionable data can help with payer negotiations, both helping improve margins, give the business some operating leverage during growth, and if you're looking to exit, ultimately attract a larger buyer pool. The other angle to consider is that while technologies can help you grow your business, when selling, there is the opportunity for expense synergies. If both the buyer and seller are on the same tech platform, for example, there is likely a post-close savings opportunity when both groups are operating under the same contract. Lastly, and what is a hot topic in the autism services space, is the integration of AI. Industry stakeholders expect AI to largely impact and benefit, for that matter, clinical efficiency. The lowest hanging fruit from what we've heard and spoken to industry stakeholders is on the data collection front, with platforms like Motivity and Hirasmus leading the charge in that arena. AI-driven data collection will alleviate a lot of the administrative burden of BCBAs and BTs collecting treatment data from kiddos, which should help provider burnout and ease what is an already challenging labor environment. But all that being said, technology and autism services has some areas of improvement. Erica, given your experience building ABA businesses, what were some of the pain points when it came to technology? Were there any areas the tech stack was missing? And then how did this lead to the genesis of ABA Engine?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the biggest things when we started really growing fast, we had to very quickly, and this is just on the parent side, but there is a parallel problem that exists on the new employee or provider side as well. So I'm going to explain the parent side first. As we started really growing, we had to very quickly move from, we're just taking phone calls and putting them in, dumping them in a practice management platform, or maybe they're even filling out, like in Central Reach, there is a form, so they could fill out a form and then they're just dumped. And so we have all these people that are dumped in the system, but there's no workflow attached to it. Or what if maybe we had a legacy form on our website and it just runs to someone's email? And so then we've got parents who are filling out this form online or who are requesting information through a contact us form. So some intakes live in an email, some intakes live like randomly in a practice management platform, and there's no visibility into it. So whoever is pushing this forward, for me as the owner, I didn't have visibility into what our intake looked like. Sure, I could log into Central Reach, I could filter and sort and click a bunch of whole buttons and get to the point where I could see, but there were no workflows attached to this. There was no intention of how do we move from point A to point B. It was just a data dump. It's just a list of parents on a waiting list. And so that was the main thing I wanted to solve. And just to back up a little bit, I would say one of the biggest pieces here is when we talk about building businesses and even clinicians, when we talk about bringing families into services, we're always kind of thinking about it from our perspective. And I think what really hit me early days hard was working with the very first, and this was TRICARE. This was TRICARE days before there were state mandates anywhere. My husband was in the military. I lived in a military community. I was part of the community. And these were my friends, my colleagues. Their husbands were across the globe. And I remember meeting these moms for the first time, going out when I first started working as a clinician. And I had to get their paperwork and everything for the company that I worked for. And these are moms who just got a diagnosis of autism for their child. Like their whole world has been completely upended. And here I am bringing paperwork for them to fill out. They can't even see it because there's tears in their eyes. They're asking me all these questions about what is this process? And I don't even know what the process is. I'm brand new. I'm like, well, I think I got to get this paperwork back to my company. They're going to request an author something. But, as time went on, I realized it's this whole process. These families, it's like being drugged through the mud, No one tells them what the whole picture is or what the whole process is. They've just been told their child has autism and you need to find ABA services. And then they turn around and try to find ABA services. And a lot of times now they're just like waiting lists if they can even get through to anyone. They're just filling out forms. No one, they don't always get a lot of callbacks. So there's this real reality from the family side of things that our current tech is horrible. It does not manage a family's experience to come into this life-changing therapy. It doesn't even address it. It doesn't even acknowledge it or think about it. And so that was one of the things that always stuck in my mind. And I knew that I did want to deal with that aspect of it. So early on when we were building and we had to change, I had, as much as I could, my finger on the pulse of, okay, where are my families that are coming in? I don't want someone to get lost in the shuffle. And my team and I spent a tremendous amount of time using metadata and central reach and building out all these workflows. And every week we would dump the metadata and we'd have this meeting and we'd track where everyone was. So it was very time consuming and clunky, but we built workflows around it. So that's really kind of one of the pieces that led to ABA Engine. It's I can create a better solution here that's more intentional in the build, that connects to workflows and gives families the right kind of information at the right time, the right kind of visibility, and also helps bring them through the whole process faster. So that's just one of the reasons. I could probably give you another 12.
Tommy, as providers think about their own workflows, and I appreciate you spending time talking about the workflows because it is important. And a lot of things have to go right from the time of inquiry, a family inquires about services, to the actual service delivery, whether it's bringing the families on this, what I call a client journey, from intake through the process of assessment, through the process of meetings, through the authorization, all of that, and the hiring process that goes along with that. And so as a provider, providers want to try to the best of their ability, remain in balance, meaning what's coming in, that they're preparing for that. And they don't have, let's just say, RBTs or BCBAs on the bench or in the bullpen waiting to get called up. And so there's this fine balance of staffing and demand that really is important. And I feel like ABA Engine actually helps manage that.
Thank you both. Couldn't agree more with everything you said. Erica, digging into ABA Engine a little bit more for some of the folks that might be listening, how would you say the platform integrates with existing practice management systems or generally the tech sandbox? And then who is the target customer for this platform?
It's been so interesting. We talked earlier about what we've seen, the evolution of tech in our space. It's a little behind the curve, in comparison to other spaces, but it's been a pretty quick catch up, I feel like, in the past couple of years. So we would connect indirectly to practice management platforms. We are working on a connection with Therapy PMS, which is a smaller platform. I've been in contact with Artemis. We are currently working at the very beginning stages of a connection with Central Reach, which is very interesting because Central Reach and Rethink have kind of dominated our space and been very closed off. And I think that these past couple of years with providers wanting to build their own tech stack, I want to use Motivity, or I want to use Hierasmus, I want to use ABA Engine, I want to use this billing platform, or, I want to use Central Reach as my practice management, but I want it to connect into a HR system or a payroll system. It's been interesting. I think their hand has been forced, and Central Reach has come out with, at the very beginning stages, they've just started releasing the first API documentation for client and provider information to share So client and provider information can seamlessly go from one platform to the other. Obviously, you have to build that connection, so it's not like plug and play yet. But that's a great step to me in the direction that our field needs to go. So that's something that we're working on. We have a larger company that is wanting us to make that connection. So we're kind of spearheading this with that company. It's a multi-state ABA provider. As far as our typical customer, anywhere from startup, although if it's a clinician-run startup that really just intends to stay pretty small and they don't intend to scale, they might not need us. When you're dealing with 5 to 10 clients, you can pretty much juggle that on spreadsheets. I think the tech still adds value, but the value really comes if you're looking to scale. That's where the main value is. So for a company that's just a guesstimate of like 10 million in revenue, because probably right around 10 million in revenue, your hand is forced. You must solve the problem that ABA Engine solves. And so if you're not using ABA Engine, you're like building something out in Salesforce. So you can't really scale beyond without having those things in place.
I do have a question, Erica. Tell me, how does this platform interface, or is it transferable to other behavioral health disciplines, speech, OT, things like that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think because my goal really is to integrate this idea of where I don't want to just serve up a software. I want to serve up a software that's like a human being, right? Like you're getting an admin with a software. So in order to do that, I have to be intimately familiar with best practice workflows. So in the ABA world, I am. And so I've been able to do that. And I think there are parallels within speech and OT and PT, but there would likely be some tweaks to the software that would need to be made. So that is something that I do want to very much pursue. And it would take finding the right practice, whether that's an ABA practice who also has speech language OT PT, or a standalone speech and language PT OT practice, and having them go through that process with me. The devil is always in the details. It just always is. And everything I've ever done, it has been about the details and simple things that I think people might just gloss over and say, oh, well, we're just going to slap this on there and that'll do it. Well, it might, but if you really want something that's going to be transformative, you have to pay attention to the details. And so in order to do well in another base, I would need someone to go through that process with me. Side note, because this isn't something that's on our website, we're beta testing it. We have a 3-year contract with a hospital in Mississippi, and they're using our automated system to triage their mental health referral influx. And so in the mental health world, that's kind of where we're starting. And then to continue to build out more of the entire gamut of start to finish with request to services starting, same as with the SLP OTPT providers. I would really want to kind of dig in, and we'll continue to build that out and make it very nuanced for those providers. But yeah, that's a great question. That's absolutely something that's in my mind to do as we continue to build.
All right, thank you, Erica. It's definitely exciting to hear about the platform. I definitely encourage folks who are interested in learning and using ABA Engine to reach out. But it looks like we are coming up on time. Rick, do you have any closing comments for us?
I do. First of all, thanks again for having me. I appreciate it. Erica, congratulations on your journey, really. And it's a testament to the opportunities, I think, in the field. There are a lot of creative people with the end goal of providing outstanding service, meeting the needs of the families, and gaining access to care is foremost in the minds of not only the people that we collectively serve, but also the payers as well. So congratulations, and looking forward to hearing more great things about ABA Engine.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Thanks, Rick. Thanks, Erica. Just a couple of shout outs before we formally wrap up. Rick and Erica will be at some conferences this summer if you'll be interested in meeting up. Rick will be at the 2024 Open Minds Strategy and Innovation Institute in New Orleans in June. And then Erica will be speaking at the 2024 ABA Care Summit in Hilton Head in August. So that just about does it. Thank you, everyone, and hope you enjoyed.